the goal of Michigan is to get to Indianapolis. Like, that is the goal. It's beat Ohio State and it's get to Indianapolis. And I do want to address, I made a YouTube short on this channel where it was a quick question where for Michigan fans, if you only could control one thing, either beat Ohio State or go to Indianapolis, which one would you prefer? And, you know, we had, I think, 9 or 10 people responded, and thank you for everyone who did respond. But essentially, you know, my thought is, if you're going to get to Indianapolis to be the representative of the Big Ten East, you're going to have to beat Ohio State to get there. Like, so really it was kind of like a trick question. So I hope, you know, I'm sorry if I tricked anybody, but, you know, that, and that's the thought, like, that's the thought process. Like, if you're in the chat right now and you think that Michigan can play offense the way they did today and beat Ohio State, and let's say Wisconsin comes out of the West, and if you think Michigan can play football the way they did today, beat Ohio State, beat Wisconsin, and let's even say win a college football playoff game, please just shoot me a yes in the chat, because I would love to see who feels that way, because I don't think you can do that. I just really don't, because if you look at, okay, last year, Alabama, 2020 national champions. Granted, they were extremely efficient at running the football, but they were really efficient at throwing the ball. If you look at the year before that, LSU, that was not the traditional LSU team. And trust me, as a Bama fan, I know, because the traditional LSU was I formation. We're going to run the ball again and again and again. And we're just going to hopefully pop and get you, and then we'll hold you to 10 points and hopefully score 13. Right. You know, the year before that, 2018, Clemson, they beat Alabama 44-16 in the national championship. And I don't remember what they did in the semifinals, but nonetheless, like, you're not going to be able to just line up, run the football against high level teams and think that you're going to have success. Like, it's not going to happen. Yeah. It's not going to happen. And based on just a couple of responses I've seen, I haven't seen anyone say yes, that they feel that way.
Well, I'm seeing some people say, you know, basically you have to, like, prove you can stop our run game. And here's a problem. Here's what you have to do, people, is that you have to try, and it's difficult at times as a fan. You have to balance short-term view and long-term view. Okay. Sometimes, like, when you're watching the game, like with Washington, right? Oh my gosh, we're gashing. Look how physical. Yeah, you know, run through him, run through his chest, right? You know, break those tackles. They can't stop us. We're physically imposing. It's a really good feeling when you're dominating the team from a physicality standpoint. That's football at its heart, you know, at its core, right? That's old style Michigan football, smash mouth, and that's great. But it's just, there's a reason why you don't see the teams that win the Big Ten typically nowadays, teams in the college football playoff doing that. Not because they can't recruit the right personnel or they can't figure out a way to do it themselves. It's just that a balanced attack is just what's necessary. It always comes into play at some point. You know, it's just, good things happen. We saw today, I think in the fourth quarter, the starting center went down. What happens if we have a couple injuries on the offensive line? What happens if Haskins gets hurt? We still got Blake Corum. Oh, we got Donovan Edwards. Okay, great. Mm-hmm. But you know, that's still a big missing piece in that chain.
Let me interrupt you real quick, because multiple people have talked about Oregon versus Ohio State.
Yes, guys.
Oregon rushed for 269 yards on 38 carries. It was 7 yards a pop. It wasn't that they were out here having, 15 yards a carry. They threw the ball down the field. Their quarterback had 17 completions for 236 yards and 2 touchdowns. 44 yards is not going to cut it. So guys, we just have to get off of this. Like, we truly do. Like, to think that you can just line up and run the ball against high-level talent, it's just not going to work. I'm not sure you could throw for 44 yards against Northwestern and win that game, because I know Pat Fitzgerald is going to have that team ready to go. That it's just not feasible, guys. And here's the great part of it with football is you prove it on the field. So
Right.
in 3 weeks, when we're here with the post game with Wisconsin, and we have 44 passing yards, and we're talking to you about why Michigan lost the game, it's literally going to be that. It's going to be that. And that is literally why we are here and why we're so passionate about what we're talking about, because I would like Michigan to beat Wisconsin. I would like them to beat Penn State. I'd like them to beat Michigan State, and I'd like them to get to the Ohio State game undefeated. I would love that to happen. But in order for that to happen, you're going to have to throw the football. Like that's it. That's it.
I'm looking at comments, and Mr. Brandon Glover isn't the only one saying this, but he's the latest one I've seen. Michigan didn't need to throw. I understand that they didn't need it. It's not just about tonight. It's not just about tonight, guys. It does not work like a switch. You just can't. Okay, let's say Michigan does this the next 2 weeks, right? Mm-hmm. They perform like this the next 2 weeks. They may lead the nation in rushing, right? They can lead the nation in rushing going into week 5 at Wisconsin, right? What happens if it doesn't work? What happens in the first half? We're not running as effectively. Now you're in a conundrum because these last 4 weeks, your offense has been predicated on smash mouth football. But now, like I think someone put in a comment before, how week to week college football changes. Now things are in a flux. Now you have to adjust. Now you have to make some adjustments at halftime. Okay, we got to spread the field a little bit more. They're boxing at this. They got 7, 8 people in the box, and we can't run like we could the previous weeks. Now we need to throw the ball. Well, if you haven't have the repetitions, you don't know what play calls to use because you haven't seen. Okay, this is successful. We can rely on that play for a nice first down. We need to get 10 yards. We can rely on that play. It's hard to do that when you don't have the reps to do it. And you're setting yourself up to be put in a box in a corner where you're not repping different scenarios in games that you can tell that you're probably going to win. You can have some mistakes. That's the point. It's not just about this week. It's not just about Washington. A really good head coach has the ability to lock in and understand this week, but also can project and make sure his team is doing and addressing key issues that they need to get to their goal, right? That's what it's about.
So, Brandon Glover, we're going to address your comment head on. Why throw when you don't need to? Here's how football works. It's one of those things that you need game reps, right? And here's the thing: if you've Brandon, for someone who is here right now, you've probably played high school football or at least been around enough high school football players to where you know that there are guys on the football team that are just like, man, I really wish coach would just put me in the game, man. If you put me in the game, I would show him I'm one of the best guys on the team. And the coach is saying, well, I need you to, number one, show me in practice before I even put you on the game in the field on a Friday. Mm-hmm. So that's step one, right? And then step two comes down to, well, what are you actually going to do on Fridays, right? So I played wide receiver in high school. So let's say me, right? Desmond's a wide receiver. So I know when we call play number, let's call it 99, Desmond's supposed to run a curl, right? He's supposed to run a 12-yard curl route. But he gets out there, and we've never put him in the game before. And he gets real nervous, and he totally forgets the play that he's supposed to run. Or let's say he doesn't forget to run it, but he's so nervous he doesn't run it as fast as he did in practice. So Dre, as the quarterback, knows that when I hit my back foot, we do a 5-step drop, I throw it. Desmond's always there in practice, right there, 12 yards to catch the ball. But because Desmond's nervous and I'm taking half steps and not running as fast as I possibly can, I'm a couple steps behind. So Dre throws to where I'm supposed to be on that 5th step. But instead of Desmond being there, now it's a corner being there because I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do, right? Because game reps are very different than practice reps, right? There's no pressure when you're at practice. There's no one watching when you're at practice for
You're
most
discussing
teams.
rhythm and timing. What you just described as rhythm and timing. That is
And
something
guess
that
what?
only
You
comes to
don't get
reps.
better with that until you get into the games on Saturdays because
There you go.
everything is faster on game day. Like you've got to adjust things on game day. Like it's just not the same as a Tuesday practice when no one is around versus a Saturday night primetime ESPN. There's cameras around. You see, Kirk Herbstreit. You see, you know what I mean? There's all types of people around that typically aren't around, right? There's Braylon Edwards is on the sideline. I don't know if he was there or not tonight, but nonetheless, you just see different people where you're just like, holy cow, like these people weren't here on Tuesday when I ran this curl route and that was easy, right? Like, so to me, that is why, you sometimes you need to throw it when you don't need to, because you need to get those reps. Because Brandon, the last thing you want to do is to be in a pressure situation as far as the environment overall. And then also now I have to put pressure on my quarterback because we need this throw on 3rd and 15. We need this on 3rd and 10. Like, I need you to be perfect right now today, right? I would rather in a non-pressure situation where I could tell my quarterback, listen, man, like just go out there and wing it. Just throw the ball, right? So we're playing Western Michigan. And I can tell him, dude, just go out there and just throw it. Like, go through your reads just like you did in practice on Tuesday. Throw the ball. And guess what? If Cade throws a pick, if Cade throws 2 picks, I could bring him back to the sideline and say, well, what did you see? What did you look at? Right? And I could figure out what keys he's looking at to let him know, okay, hey, you looked at the outside linebacker. The thing I need you to focus on is that middle safety, because that's going to be your read key. That's going to be the difference if you throw it deep or you throw that dig route coming underneath, right? But I can't do that if we never run the play in the game, right? So it's just because in practice, everything is perfect in practice. Everything's perfect. The scout team is going to run the coverage that the OC thinks the other team is going to run against, right? So Josh Gaddis thinks they're going to run cover 3. So the scout team's going to run cover 3. So this play is going to be wide open every single time we run it on Tuesday. But on Saturday night, what if they run man coverage instead of cover 3, which is a zone coverage? Like, things change a lot. So you've got to be able – my thing is, and what I would rather do as a coach is I would rather figure out how Cade processes information and figure out how he goes through his reads against a team like Western that I know for sure we're going to win the game and can overcome mistakes by him versus going into a game like Wisconsin and being like, well, I don't know what's going to happen, but let's figure it out.
Hold on, Des. Someone said K looks really good when he throws. I've seen it a couple times. What are you guys basing Cade's? No, seriously, no, not trying to be smart here. Like, seriously, the guy had 2 starts last year. He took over for Joe Milton against Rutgers. So it's not really a start, but he played most of that game. And he's only had 2 games this year. Like, and then even the games that he has played, it's not like he's passed the ball a lot or he's had to win us. He's proven at least once he can win us a game throwing the football, especially against a quality opponent. It's like, where are you basing that on? One throw to Ronnie Bell, which was a really good throw, like that led him to a touchdown.
Oh,
I mean, yes,
that was a beautiful throw. Throw.
I know. I'm just saying, like, that's not real. That's not really a good sample size, a burden of proof that a quarterback can make throws when he needs to. I mean, it's just not. Like, we haven't seen enough. We have not seen enough.
Because that was a beautiful throw by Cade, but I would like to have seen 5 more of those by the end of this game. Like, I'd like to see a lot more. Let's Toast Media. Appreciate you, man. You are a supporter, so thank
Loyal
you so
supporter.
much. Definitely wanted to highlight your comment. If you pass for 300 yards and you're 0-2, then Jim Harbaugh probably needs to be fired. That's where it's at. That's where it's at. To me, it's a balance. It's a balance. But to me, 11 pass attempts is never going to be good enough. It's never going to be okay. Let me take a quick
false
search.
Equivalency, though. That's a false equivalency, though. Like, I mean, for the whole premise, and here's the thing: the whole premise of us talking about the team taking advantage of this opportunity and passing the ball more is the fact that they are a better team than the teams they're playing now. We're not saying that's our whole point. We're not saying, oh, you get to the better teams like Wisconsin, Ohio State, and now you want to start throwing the ball more. No, by then you should know how you can balance. You have a really good running game. You will hopefully know that you have a decent passing game. By then, you should have an understanding of how you could bring a balanced attack because you're going to need it in those games. But against these two teams that are lesser, we're saying take a few more chances. You're not going to lose these games. Not Washington, not Western, by being more aggressive with the passing. That's the whole point. We're not saying being stupid and risky. We're saying make calculated risk against teams that that you have an extreme advantage against and that you're going to win. It's taking advantage of the situation. It's not just doing something just to do it. Oh, let's just pass because it's fun looking. No, that's not what we're saying. Oh, it's fun throwing 60-yard passes. No, we're not saying that. It
is as a head coach, as Jim Harbaugh, it is my job to get my quarterback prepared for battle. At the end of the day, prepare for battle. Forget about how many times he needs to throw the ball. I need him prepared for battle. I'm looking at Alabama, who played Mercer today. They played Mercer, a team that I think they might have been 28-point favorites in that game. Their starting quarterback threw 27 passes. More passes in this one game against a team that they were clearly better than Cade has thrown all year. I just want people to understand, he's not getting enough reps. In the unfortunate part is you already have people coming out saying, well, we need to put JJ in. And I'm like, and my thing is, you don't even know what you have with Cade. You don't know what you have with Cade yet because he hasn't been given a fair shot.
Right.
And it's literally 100% tied to reps. It's tied to reps. He does not have enough reps. And that's the issue. That's the crux of my issue for me. That's it.